Here it is, the first snow of the season. Usually the best one, especially when it sticks on the trees like this. And before you start to get sick of it all, we got Miles enjoying the snow. He's just happy to be out. Oh, the sun coming through the clouds. Let's get a picture of that. Look at that sun. Glorious, splendid, white everywhere. It is like God painted. We see the trees in a new light, and they're coated with this whiteness, this frosty white. Ooh, let's look at this flag. It's cool. America, heck yeah. Said I was gonna talk about Shapeshifters. I had the zin in my mouth with that nicotine fix. But I do it because allegedly, and I don't have the proof of this, nicotine is good for you. And it helps prevent sickness, boosts your immune system, destroys little alleged fuckery that's going on. But I heard somebody suggest something cool with that. Soaking your feet in tobacco leaves and water. I thought that was a neat idea. Mad medicinal with my tree hugger side, which I have. I've always been a bit of a granola eater, even though granola's usually not good for you. But you get what I'm saying. The other, just want to show you how cool this road looks. And I usually take Miles on this little journey most days of the week. So it is always a pleasure to see the phases of the seasons here and the aesthetic they have. All the leaves are pretty much been gone. Obviously it's December. I'm just rambling here. And what the heck was I talking about? Yes. Oh yeah. So we can distill in our lives. We become our own alchemists. Our bodies have an ability to bring our attention to the moment, which is sort of like distilling out all the kingdom within. So what sparks joy, as that Japanese lady would say, that excitement to engage with a changing world, adventure. And how does that relate to shapeshifters? Well, I speculate, based on many years of conspiratorial research, clips of weird news anchors suddenly morphing into chameleon-like lizard people and eyes and fangs showing up, and freaking Elvis is like melting on camera, and their clip of him backstage, and everyone's freaking out about his makeup coming around him. General Petraeus making Senator Kane look like he saw a ghost and being ushered out as if he had passed out, but maybe his skinwalker suit malfunctioned. But anyway, if they had so much power, when they've just taken it all already, they can't just do whatever they want, it seems. So again, nothing to worry about. Maybe some hard times ahead, but hard times can be endured, especially when you have that peace and are born again of spirit. You're in God's hands at all times. You can always go back to the stillness where God created everything out of that perfect love. So schizo thinking, don't make anything too important. That's what I was trying to say earlier. I think it's exciting and fun to investigate paranormal studies, things about consciousness, the occult, remote viewing. Although I know in scripture it's kind of warned against by Paul, but Paul has been subject to scrutiny. I don't know. I don't pretend to know the answers to all that stuff, but I do believe you can tap into the kingdom within. Oh, almost fell there. There seems to be something about harvesting our energy. How to bring you back. You know, you go online, you go on your doom scrolling. Everything's about the evil plans, these seemingly unhuman entities that, or at least skin suits that are occupied with some kind of long game demon. It does feel that way sometimes. You wonder why they practice these occult religions, worshiping Baphomet or whatever. But I don't know. I've had some weird encounters. Sleep paralysis a few times. One where I felt like I was getting pulled into the floor. I fell asleep on the floor. But as soon as I evoked Jesus' name, they left. But it wasn't easy to get it out because I was it was like my mouth wasn't working. Yeah, there's something to it, but I don't think they mess with you unless you make deals with them or anything. So that's why you shouldn't mess around with that witchcraft shit, in my opinion. And also sometimes with psychedelic drugs and rituals. And we shouldn't just assume indigenous means better. But I do find it interesting they tapped into the richness. That's what I was going to say today. Get a little weird. Unlock that weirdness in yourself where you sit with things. That Rudolf Steiner guy, he was an interesting fella. And he said objects were alive. And there's this major discussion in philosophy between the subject and the object, the relationship between that. Obviously, us being the subjects, the ones experiencing, and the thing, the object. You know, what can we know about it? How infinite is it? science will break it down to subatomic particles and say it's all just energy. There is no actual, mostly just empty space. If you look at it that way, those are just facts about it, I'd say. But maybe the processes are interesting too, how things manifest. And obviously quantum mechanics, quantum physics says consciousness affects their nature. And in a way, do we have access to measure things outside of our experience, our mind being drawn to it, right? You can't get outside of experience. We only conjecture that we do through recording things and from reports from people before and after death, stuff like that. But that's not tapping into the source, unless you believe there's a collective experience. But how do you tap into that? It only can come from a mindless point of view, which is interesting. Which makes you wonder, even if God knows everything, he knows your experience exactly. But does he have it as you? He's fundamentally different, right? So that's cool. In a way, our experience is extremely unique unless there's parallel universes. But even that would be different in number, a different being. I don't know. If they were two clones, this is what analytic philosophy does, by the way. But what if there was a clone in another dimension and they had every same experience that you had? Would you be the same people? Fuck if I know. Maybe that's not the worst question. Okay, so how does this relate to schizo thinking? Schizo thinking is when you identify with the craziness that can come your way when you mess around with these things. And I like this quantum of conscious guy, Matt. He talks about reality providing the things that we seek. If you want to find evidence for a flat earth, you'll find it. If you want to find evidence for the globe, it will provide it. If you want to investigate Charlie Kirk but anyway, this is an important point. When you have fear of these things and the evidence you find for them, you just give them power. I think they feed whatever these kind of spiritual realities are, they feed off of it. But if you treat them like you should treat your thoughts, like Jesse Lee Peterson says, and just observe them, I don't know if they really have power. And what can they take if the world is not what you are? If the soul is eternal and that spirit that observes and changes accordingly with the help of God, then legacies mean nothing. Your fear is the only thing you pass down to the next generation. If you teach them just to protect it at all costs and make something such a big deal that it causes suffering. In fact, they'd be more successful, most likely, if they were following their true nature. I think God adds on to your life when you live without hate. So on this cold, wintry day with this beautiful landscape of winter wonderland, tap into the aesthetic beauty of the most concrete thing we have in the moment. Start living that way, and it unlocks a weirdness. You know why? Because we're so busy all the time. We're so in our heads. Gotta get out of our heads, get back to the moment where everything is always good, even if you're in the worst situation, and then your practical thinking kicks in. I want to talk about practical thinking. And how they can be virtues as well, habits. Let's think about this. Oh yeah, like solving problems that make sense. Whatever's in front of you, say it's a business problem, like, being frugal, trying to save money, paying attention, sort of like taking care of a garden. There's joy there, but don't have emotions attached to that kind of thinking. Because if you're somebody who wants to conquer things and you're angry and you're ruthless capitalist and it's all attached to your ego, it becomes like a monster inside you. That's just one example. And then lots of people have already touched on this point, but red pill overdosing, where it becomes an ego thing, like, I know what is better. If you don't know what's going on, you're an idiot. And then getting angry and building up this idea like, I'm gonna stop these scum. You got Alex Jones just getting all fired up, but what about the message? He says he's a Christian. Fucking forgive them. They know not what they do. They may do things that affect us. But I really don't think, and I think going through COVID and all those things, the only thing that will allow it is if you have fear. If you live in a way where you're in the moment and you don't hate your neighbor, don't judge them, that will be a better impact. The more people who live that way, these tricks they put on us to get all scared. Oh, the Somalians, look at all the scams they're running, and they put the videos like, yo, we're gonna get violent, and it's all wickedness. Overcome that. Don't get all fired up. That's exactly what the beast wants. One event to trigger it, and then inevitably we just do it to ourselves. Even though they may tell lies, it's all consent-based, because in no matter what situation you're in, you can do it without hate. You can defend yourself without hate, etc. We don't need to go into all the scenarios. So the paradox is, in order to Serve others. First, know thyself. Forgive those who've done wrong. Spend as much time in the moment at all times. Observe. Gain everything. Empty out all the fake parts of yourself. Don't hang on to them. When you do, you'll do the wicked. And that's not to say people aren't technically right about their analysis of society and culture wars going on and certain groups. But the more you name it, the more you fucking wrestle within your head, you're just not here. And all you're doing is passing that energy on to other people, which will make them blind. If you're going to be a leader, you have to have the truth set you free. I'm working on it. The chaos still pops up, by the way. But over time, there'll be nothing you can't handle. But if you live afraid of death because you hang on to this place, then suffering is inevitable. I'm going to do a balloon video later with this cool red balloon that I think is going to look beautiful with the snow. And the purpose of that will just be to appreciate that wonder we used to have as children. And I know I sound like a TED Talk right now when like tech guys talk about play and all right, it's a platitude, but I think the spark is there. You just, a little nostalgia can be okay if it transports you to a mode of being, into a place where you're humbled before the whole universe, curious, excited to see what comes next, excited to share that. Love thy neighbor. What does that mean? Well, I don't think you'll find out unless you first focus on yourself and let God do the thing he needs to do, fight that battle through us. And now I'm just rambling. We're feeding the same points, but I'll have to keep talking so the video keeps running. But look at all these houses in the States over here and how this just obliterates anything we should fear. It's always here somewhere. You can find the beauty everywhere. So don't despair ever, and don't give anyone power by fearing it. Don't fear what you can't control. And that's it.